The following program paid for by Lifespan Wealth Management. Providing financial advice since 1993. It's time for Your Money with Sherry Goss, Randy Goss, and Jonathan Eisner. And now from the Macon studios of News Talk 940 WMAC, it's Your Money.
Good morning, Middle Georgia, and thanks for tuning in to Your Money, produced by Lifespan Wealth Management. As financial advisors, the main thing we do is provide retirement planning advice and manage our clients' investment accounts. So if you're looking for an investment advisor, call our office at 478-922-8100 to set up your complimentary consultation.
Lifespan Wealth Management has offices in Macon and Warner Robins for your convenience and has been serving Middle Georgia for over 30 years. You can learn more about our services by visiting our website at retirerelax.com. And while you're on our site, go to the special reports section where you'll find several reports that are available to you for free. You can also sign up to receive our digital feeds, which are short videos providing great information relevant to retirement, investing, and matters that affect your money.
We also offer seminars to the community at no cost. So if you're in need of a guest speaker for your church or civic organization, give us a call, and together we can decide what topics you would like us to present to your group. Again, our contact number is 478-922-8100. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Great to be back with you guys. And the Christmas season is here, and people are out shopping. Black Friday sales were up 8.9% over last year, according to Adobe Analytics. And unfortunately, between Black Friday and the end of Cyber Week spending, Adobe estimates that Buy Now, Pay Later, or BNPL, usage would cross the $1 billion threshold. So
That's frightening.
It is frightening. Folks, please be careful. Going into debt like this is a terrible way to start the new year. And really, BNPL stands for Buy Now, Pay Later.
Yep.
So Vanguard joins push to offer 401ks with a regular payout by letting workers buy annuities within a new 401k target date fund. The nation's largest target date fund provider will make the fund available to employers starting sometimes in 2026. Like any target date fund, it will combine stocks and bonds, shifting to a more conservative mix as investors age. But it will also give older workers the options of moving some of their 401k savings into an annuity, an insurance contract that converts upfront lump sum payments into fixed monthly payments for life. A 65-year-old worker earning retirement with a $1 million portfolio might use 25% to pay for an annuity, which today could provide about $1,670 a month in income. The worker would also be able to withdraw from the rest of the 401k savings, which would remain in stocks and bonds.
So as a side note, you need to understand that the annuity payment will not increase over time with inflation. So that is a major consideration. Its spending power will decrease over time, whereas if you took regular payments out of a growing 401k balance, you could increase your monthly draws as the account grows in value.
Yep. The move by Vanguard, which manages about 40% of the $4.5 trillion in target date funds, suggests that annuities embedded in diversified 401k investments are slowly moving into the mainstream. Target date funds are typically the default investments when employers automatically enroll workers into the 401k plans. Until recently, employers have largely focused on helping workers accumulate larger 401k balances. But as baby boomers retire, they're adding products and services that aim to replicate pensions, which cover a dwindling share of U.S. workforce. Many employers are taking a wait-and-see approach to target date funds with annuities because of their higher costs and the complexities of them. While retirement savers might be able to earn higher returns by leaving more of their money in the stock market, many prefer the security and the predictability of annuities. Higher interest rates since 2022 have raised annuity payments because insurers, the carriers that offer the annuities, are earning more on bonds, which is the main asset where they invest customers' cash. This has made annuities a more attractive option for retirees in recent years, as investors have been able to lock in higher payments and thus more security.
Retirees who are considering an annuity should understand their fees and features, including when payments start, their size, and whether you can get your money back.
Investors can't change their mind. Once the annuity's lifetime income has begun, they can elect to continue the income over a spouse's lifetime and add a death benefit for others. This is an important thing to understand, and it can reduce the monthly income from the annuity if compared to the employer's life only. One of the carriers, AllianceBernstein, offers a target date fund with a variable annuity which provides some exposure to the stock market. Retirees can cash out their balance at any time, canceling the annuity. The fee is about 1.25% a year. I hope they can do a good job of explaining these options to people and provide income projections, because this sounds like it's going to get pretty complicated.
I agree with you. And we talk a lot on here about how employees already don't understand a lot of what they're doing in their 401ks as it is now. And if not properly explained to people, this could make that situation even worse.
Absolutely.
And we are, of course, as always, happy to offer guidance on this for any of our clients or prospective clients who may have this as an option in their 401k. And I'll say this. I'm a fan of this because not just pensions have gone by the wayside for the most part, but for people like me and Corey, our generation, we don't know if Social Security is going to be reliable at a minimum or even around. And so to have an option in here that could replace that type of fixed income in retirement, I'm a fan of this. And I think if done properly, it could really help people overall.
I agree.
I agree too. So the college students who can't do elementary math, this subject has been burning a hole in my brain for years. Kids in elementary school learn, or are supposed to learn, how to add fractions and round numbers, but many students at the University of California, San Diego, a top public university ranked 6th nationally by U.S. News and World Report, can't do either, according to a new analysis from the university. Roughly 1 in 8 freshmen lack rudimentary high school math skills defined as geometry, algebra, and algebra 2. It gets worse. Students who had been placed in a remedial high school math class in 2023 had roughly 5th grade level abilities. Only 39% could correctly round a number to the nearest 100, a 3rd grade skill. Because so many incoming students were numerically illiterate, the university added a remedial class for middle and elementary school math. Remarkably, among students placed into that math course, 94% had completed an advanced math class in high school, such as pre-calculus, calculus, or statistics, and received an average A- in their math courses.
This is just terrible.
It is. It's baffling. So is this an indictment on A, the University of California's admissions, B, public K-12 schools, C, U.S. News and World Report's college rankings, or D, all of the above? If you chose D, that's the correct answer. It's all of the above. Start with A. Amid a push to boost diversity in overall enrollment and thus rake in more government student aid, UC San Diego admitted increasing numbers of unqualified applicants from low-income high schools. Quote, in order to holistically admit a diverse and representative class, we need to admit students who may be at a higher risk of not succeeding, according to the report. This has done a grave disservice to ill-prepared students who take longer to complete degrees and thus accrue more debt and drop out of more rigorous majors. Few, if any, students who take remedial math successfully complete an engineering degree, according to the report.
The university admissions places heavy emphasis on GPAs, but these don't reliably reflect student preparations because grades are inflated. Some students may also cheat their way to higher grades. Smartphones and AI have made it easier to do so. At the same time, scores on AP tests have become less dependable marker of merit. That's because the College Board has made the exams easier to pass to encourage more students to take them, and thus rake in more money from testing fees. The share of students passing AP exams has soared over the last 2 decades, including for calculus AB. That has increased 6.3 percentage points. English language and composition has increased 17.9. Chemistry increased 21.9, and U.S. history 23.3. Call it vanity grading if you want. Mediocre students now graduate with top GPAs and AP scores, which makes parents feel better about their kids' public schools and eases political pressures from education reform.
On to answer choice B, the report says students have been underserved by their prior schooling. No kidding. Only 22% of 12th graders scored proficient in math on the National Assessment of Educational Progress last year, the lowest on record. One UC San Diego remedial math tutor observed that some teachers would teach life skills in high school math class, just using calculators, the internet, and formulas. Classes did not teach mathematical thinking. Meanwhile, some of the profession's best teachers, highly capable women who entered the profession when their sex had fewer career options, have been retiring. Many of their replacements are lacking, and many young teachers may themselves have only a 5th grade math skills. I actually have a friend who teaches 6th grade math, and he says the majority of his students do not know the order of operations, and that being what you're supposed to do first, add, multiply, often abbreviated as PEMDAS.
So, answer C. Many parents mistakenly consider the U.S. News and World Report's rankings a proxy of a college prestige, but the rankings don't reflect the caliber of students a college admits, nor graduation outcomes that matter, that should be. The rankings don't factor in student standardized test scores for colleges like the UCs that don't require them. Graduation and retention rates make up by far the biggest weight in the rankings, but that may encourage colleges to inflate grades to ensure that unqualified applicants that they admit still graduate. Graduate employment outcomes account for only 5% of the rankings weight. Wow. To its credit, the UC San Diego report recommends reinstating a standardized testing admission requirement. This might help, but that Titanic may have sailed. After many colleges made standardized tests optional, the College Board last year dumbed down the SAT in an effort to encourage more students to take it.
The test takes 2 hours now instead of 3, and students get more time to complete each question. Gone too are the long reading passages that might strain TikTok attention spans. Analogies were eliminated in 2005 after academics claimed they were culturally biased. This is unbelievable. The sum of all this is a tragedy of the education commons. Institutions acting in their own interest are debasing America's pool of young human capital. Heaven help these upcoming generations.
So if you have grandkids or great-grands, check in with the families about this. Are they learning what they need to learn to be successful in college, or should they even go to college and attend a community college instead? Our granddaughter attends a small Christian private school, and they still teach old math, thank goodness.
Yep.
That's
I
refreshing.
was looking at a graph the other day that showed the top areas that cost has increased in the United States, and healthcare was number one, and college
Education.
college education was number two. What has increased so much in
Salaries.
in college that requires that much of an increase? It can't be the salaries that much.
They got to pay the head football coaches.
That may be it.
They're making so much money, and they got to pay the players now too.
They keep increasing the cost because they keep getting the government subsidies, or the tuition keeps going up because they can get that.
Well, when I went to
get blank
college, it was a
checks.
game.
Yeah.
Because you go in, you talk to whoever's over that career field, and they convince you that you're going to get a job immediately upon graduating, which was a total lie. I was in a group of 25 people. I'm the only one that got a job in the career field that we studied. I mean, and that was 40 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
I can't even imagine what it's like now. They need to rein all of this in and get real about how they're going to help people.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, but it's wishful thinking. All right, the U.S. may almost completely scrap income tax due to tariff revenue. The Congressional Budget Office, or the CBO, projected that the tariff increases will reduce the federal budget by $2.8 trillion over the next decade. That said, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said that the Trump proposed a tariff dividend check so that Americans understand the impact of Trump's tariff policies. He said, yes, it's going to drive down our deficit. Yes, it's going to make the country stronger, period. All right, next, what the government took away with its tariffs, the U.S. tech industry gave back with artificial intelligence spending spree. In October, the World Trade Organization estimated that the global merchandise trade volume would grow 2.4% this year, up from its August prediction of 0.9%. Also in October, the International Monetary Fund raised its 2025 world growth forecast to 3.2, up from 2.8 after Trump's tariff announcement. The upward revision, both groups said, were partly the result of the fortune that tech companies are invested in AI this year. Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft alone are putting up nearly $400 billion this year into capital expenditures, largely for AI.
But these metrics don't tell the whole story. While AI is propping up global trade and growth, it is doing so unevenly, and the pain from tariffs is likely to grow. The U.S. represents a quarter of the global economy. AI investments in equipment, data centers, and research and development, for example, accounted for as much as half of the U.S. gross domestic product growth in the first half of 2025. Beyond the major AI powers of the U.S. and China, the spending on tech infrastructure mainly benefits a few regions already inside the specialized AI supply chain. Consider Taiwan, the global manufacturing hub for the most advanced AI chips. American hunger for these semiconductors prompted IMA Asia, which runs executive forums, to raise Taiwan's GDP growth forecast to 7% this year, up from its 4.4 estimate.
It's a unique case, as Taiwan's capital expenditures on plants and equipment are expected to rise 30% this year, up from a 13% increase a year ago. But even as AI spending powers the island's economic numbers, consumer demand remains low and other industries struggle. The AI boom has also pulled up South Korea, which dominates the corner of the AI supply chain that makes memory chips, and the Netherlands, home of chip-making equipment leader ASML. Asia accounted for nearly 2/3 of global AI-related trade growth in the first half of this year. Tariff pains haven't been canceled, they've just been deferred. Companies that paid attention to what Trump said on the campaign trail and early in his second term had ample warning before the April tariff proclamation. Importers and exporters front-ran tariffs, rushing to ship goods to the U.S. before a series of deadlines that has boosted trade this year. Now that the tariffs have kicked in and front-loaded inventory is dwindling, economists expect companies to pass on tariff costs to consumers and export less to the U.S.
The WTO's outlook reflects this. At the same time, it upgraded its 2025 forecast and it reduced its 2026 forecast for world merchandise trade volume growth to 0.5%, down from its August estimate of 1.8%. The tariff cliff might not be a foregone conclusion. Policies from several of the world's biggest governments are building a safety net. Economists expect the Trump-championed One Big Beautiful Bill Act to boost the U.S. economy in the short run by extending tax cuts while increasing the federal deficit. That could lift imports. On top of that, Germany is making a historic shift away from frugality towards spending, and Japan approved $135 billion of stimulus to boost economic growth. Such support, combined with a weak dollar and potential Federal Reserve rate cut, means the global economy might stay on its feet in 2026, provided the AI boom doesn't fizzle. So, opinion, anybody? I think it's going to keep rolling.
I think it is too.
I think it just confirms everything we've felt this year, that AI was a huge part of the overall, not just the stock market, but the economy in general. And I think this just confirms that, and hopefully it does, like you guys are saying, hopefully it does continue for a while.
Yeah,
because it's helped a lot.
I think it has felt like a bubble, but you take a look at all the new money that's being thrown into AI. That the bubble's just getting bigger right now, and we're going to talk more about that in just a little bit about the new money that is being committed to the AI infrastructure, and it's not something that's going to happen. That's going to get fulfilled tomorrow.
Right.
I mean,
it's going to take time.
It's going to take time.
Some of these deals are 5-10 years.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So.
All right, American Wallet suffered severe insurance premium increases in the last few years, especially for home and auto insurance. Jonathan, you can feel the pain of this. But did you know that calling your insurance provider to ask a question can lead to them making a note on your record? So the question is, can my insurance company penalize me if I ask about an issue but never file a claim?
Yes, the short answer is yes. I called the insurance company that insures our lake house and asked about the flood coverage and what was covered in case of a leaking air handler. I never filed the claim, and about 3 days later, I got a call from an adjuster, and they said that the insurance company filed the claim on our behalf. How nice! What customer service?
Right.
The agent said that in this case, nothing would be paid out, so did this affect our future rates, and does it affect our ability to shop for future insurance? Yes, it does. We had a prior claim just 3 years earlier with a real flood, but this time it put us in the penalty box with our insurance company, and our insurance went through the roof. So, and nearly a century ago, Congress decided that individual states would regulate their own insurance industries. So in some states, you might make an inquiry with the insurance company, and it results that they refer to as referred to as a $0 claim. It has no impact on you. In other states, a $0 claim is treated exactly like a claim that could have been filed for thousands of dollars, and it will harm you. If you call your insurance company, they know who you are by your phone number. So asking them a question can lead to a claim that goes on your record. Other insurance providers can access those records if you shop around. Sadly, the character of your friendly neighborhood insurance agent who is there for you when you call is often a misnomer. You have to be careful about contacting your insurance provider for any related issue, whether or not you're going to file a claim.
Things are different today.
They are. So just
be careful.
Know what your policy says. That's the biggest thing you can do is read it and understand it.
All right.
So anyway,
but it might not be a bad idea. I'm just thinking out loud if you know more than just your own insurance agent.
Yeah.
to call other ones
That's a great idea.
who are friends and say, hey,
Anonymously.
anonymously, block your number,
Or,
call.
or just call around for quotes and ask questions.
Yeah, you could do that. But I mean, I just recently went through yet again another car wreck in the family, and so I called, not on purpose, but I called a friend who's an agent because my agent's office had closed that evening. And so after reading this week, I was thinking, okay, it could have potentially benefited me in a situation like this to call the friend on purpose next time.
Right.
Instead of my actual agent, because then, so just a thought.
That's a good tip. It really is. All right.
Alrighty.
You want higher investment returns? There's only one way. Dreaming of retirement but not sure if you're on track to meet your goals? You've probably heard someone brag about their incredible investment returns. Maybe it was a coworker who doubled their money in crypto, or a relative who swears by their rental properties, or that guy at the barbecue who can't miss opportunity he wants to tell you about. Here's what they're not telling you. Every penny of extra return they're chasing comes with extra risks attached. There's no way around it. We're going to take you on a little trip from the safest place to park your money to places where you probably don't want to go. Let's start with the absolute safest place to put your money in the United States: government bonds and FDIC-insured bank accounts. When you buy a U.S. Treasury bond, you're lending money to the federal government. The only way you don't get paid back is if the United States government defaults on its debt. That's never happened in over 200 years, and if it does, well, we have a much bigger problems than our investment returns. Right now, you can get around 4 to 5% on a short-term Treasury bill and similar rates on FDIC-insured high-yield savings accounts and CDs. That's your baseline. That's what the safe money earns. Everything else we're going to talk about offers high potential returns, and every single one comes with more risk than government bonds and FDIC-insured accounts.
I have corporate bonds that I'll talk about, but I have a thought about the guy at the barbecue that says he has a can't miss opportunity.
Yeah, we've all met them.
What's that?
We've all met them.
We've all met the guy. And my general feeling when that happens, when somebody says, "Hey, man, you gotta get in on this. This is going places," is that you've already missed the boat. Once people are telling you that, the good's already happened.
If it's on the street, you've missed it.
You've missed it. Exactly. All right, corporate bonds. This is when you are betting on a company and not a country. Corporate bonds work like government bonds, except you're lending money to a company instead of the government. Companies can go bankrupt. Governments that print their own money cannot. High-quality corporate bonds from companies like Apple or Microsoft might pay you 1 to 2 percentage points extra over what a treasury bond would. That extra return compensates you for the small but real chance that a company can fail. Bonds from shakier companies, which can also be called high-yield or junk bonds, may pay you 5 to 8% higher than treasuries. That's not generosity. That's the market pricing in a meaningful risk that the company won't be able to repay you. The risk, you could lose some or all of your money if the company goes bankrupt. Bondholders get paid before stockholders in bankruptcy, but that doesn't mean that you'll get all your money back.
That's right. Or stock market index funds, betting on the whole economy. Broad market index funds, such as those that track the S&P 500, have returned about 10% annually over the long run. That's roughly double what safe government bonds typically return. Why the premium? Because even with diversification across hundreds of companies, they're still taking on real risk. Stock prices swing based on economic conditions, corporate earnings, and investor sentiment. There's no guaranteed return. You might make 30% one year and lose 20% the next. You could buy at the wrong time and wait years, even a decade or more, to break even. Look at 2022. The S&P 500 dropped 18%. If you needed that money for a house down payment or your kids' tuition, too bad, it was gone. It came back in 2023, but you had to wait and stomach the loss. Or consider someone who invested at the peak in 2000. They had to wait until 2013 to get back to even. That's 13 years of going nowhere. The risk: you're exposed to overall market crashes and economic downturns, but unlike individual stocks, you won't lose everything because one company fails. Your main risk is timing and patience. Over the long term, the market has always gone up and to the right, but long term might mean you need to wait out a lost decade.
Next is individual stock companies. Bigger swings, bigger risks. Individual stocks can deliver returns that blow away index funds. NVIDIA, for example, has absolutely crushed the S&P 500's returns over the past few years. If you bought it at the right time, you could have multiplied your money several times over. As a full disclosure, we hold NVIDIA in our managed portfolios. But here's what you're taking on. Company-specific risk, bad management, product failures, competition, accounting scandals, or industry disruption can tank a stock regardless of what the overall market does. Next, concentration risk. Your returns depend on the success of a single company rather than hundreds. After that is total loss potential. Companies can go bankrupt. Enron, Lehman Brothers, and thousands of other stocks have gone to zero.
Yeah, and there's one thing you got to remember. For every NVIDIA, there are stocks that disappoint or fail. General Electric was once the most valuable company in the world. Sears was Amazon before Amazon existed. BlackBerry dominated smartphones until it didn't. The risk is that you could lose everything if the company fails. Even if it doesn't fail, you could badly underperform the market if you pick the wrong one. Yes, you might pick the next NVIDIA, but you might also pick the next Bed Bath & Beyond. Next up, REITs, real estate without the tenants. Real estate investment trust, or REITs, lets you invest in real estate without buying property directly. You buy shares that trade on the stock market, and the REIT owns and manages the actual buildings. REITs have historically returned 9 to 11% annually, similar to stocks. They pay dividends from the rental income, but their value goes up and down just like stocks.
Yep, and the risk with REITs is that they are just as volatile as stocks, sometimes even more so. When interest rates rise, REITs often take a hit because property values drop and borrowing costs go up. In 2022, the REIT index fell about 25%. You also have concentration risk since you're betting heavily on one sector of the economy, that being real estate. And despite owning real estate, you can't, quote, real estate since you don't own it directly, you can't live in a REIT or fix a leaky roof to protect your investment. Next is actual real estate, not as safe as you might think. Real estate investing is popular because it feels tangible. You can see it, touch it, drive by it. That does not make it low risk. If you're buying a rental property, you're taking on 1, vacancies where you have no income but still have expenses, repairs that can cost thousands with no warning, problem tenants who might not pay or might damage your property. And I think you guys have been there. You've told me stories about that before. Yep. I'm sure that was painful. Local market risk, which means the neighborhood that you're in could decline. Concentration risk, your wealth is tied up into 1 or maybe 2 properties. Liquidity risk, meaning you cannot instantly sell a house if you need money in a hurry. Real estate investors target returns in the 8 to 12% range annually. When you factor in rental income and appreciation, that's higher than bonds because the risks are greater.
Very good.
You've been listening to Your Money, brought to you by Lifespan Wealth Management, proudly serving Middle Georgia for over 30 years. Our mission? Helping folks just like you plan for a secure and stress-free retirement. Need a trusted financial advisor? Call us today at 478-922-8100 and schedule your complimentary consultation at our Macon or Warner Robins office. Want to learn more? Visit us anytime at retirerelax.com. Because when you plan smart, you can retire and relax. And here's something extra. We offer free educational seminars for the community. If your group needs a guest speaker, give us a call and let's make it happen. That's 478-922-8100. Now, let's get back to the show.
All right. Next asset up is gold, which is when you are betting it'll be worth more to somebody else. Gold does not pay dividends. It does not generate earnings. It sits there, shiny and inert. Its value is based entirely on what someone else will pay you for it later. Over the very long run, gold has roughly kept pace with inflation. Sometimes it soars, like in 2020 and 2021 and this year. Sometimes it goes nowhere for decades, like from 1980 to 2000. The risk, gold can be extremely volatile, and there's no underlying earnings or cash flow to provide a floor on its value. You're speculating on supply, demand, fear, and sentiment.
Yep. And next is cryptocurrency, which is the maximum volatility. Crypto offers the potential for massive returns. It also offers the potential for massive losses. Unlike stocks, there is no underlying business earnings to fall back on. Bitcoin has years when that has rose by 100% and years when it's dropped by 70 plus. Smaller cryptocurrencies are even more volatile, and many have gone to zero. The risk: extreme price swings, no intrinsic value, regulatory uncertainty, exchange failures, lost passwords, scams, and the real possibility that the crypto you buy could become completely worthless. If someone made 500% in crypto, they took on an enormous risk to get there. For every person who got rich, others lost their shirts.
Yep. So private investments and the guaranteed return scam. Now we get to the dangerous stuff. We were recently approached by a friend with this sort of deal. Someone approaches you with an investment opportunity. Maybe it's a private company, a real estate syndication, or a friend's business venture. They're promising returns of 15, 20, or 30% a year. Here's the truth. If an investment could safely deliver those returns, wealthy institutions would have already bought up every penny of it. The fact that they're coming to us should be a red flag. These opportunities come with massive risks. No liquidity, your money is locked up sometimes for years. No transparency, you can't easily check the value. No regulation, fewer protections if something goes wrong. Fraud risk, Ponzi schemes often promise guaranteed high returns. Total loss risk, many private ventures fail completely. And about those guaranteed returns your neighbor mentioned, guaranteed by who? If the investment goes bad, will they write you a check from their personal account? Of course not. There is no guarantee.
The uncomfortable truth. Here's what you need to accept. There is no secret investment that delivers high returns without high risk. If someone tells you differently, they're either lying to you or lying to themselves. The market is pretty efficient. Millions of investors, from individuals to massive institutions, compete for returns. When an investment offers a higher return, it's because the market has collectively decided it's riskier. The only free lunch is investing in diversification. Everything else is a trade-off between risk and return. The sooner you accept that, the better your financial decisions will be.
So we actively manage our fee account portfolios to avoid large losses, which is why I joined Steve Rosenberg's firm over 20 years ago. Randy and I took over the business when Steve retired and have continued to actively manage our fee portfolios. While you're investing in your 401k at work, market volatility can work for you, especially when the market is down, because you're buying more shares. Not so much once you're retired and taking distributions, which is why we manage money the way that we do. If you're interested in seeing how we do this, call us and make an appointment, 478-922-8100. We promise not to pressure you into doing anything with us.
It's worth noting that most of those asset classes that we just talked about, we're in our portfolios. We're not in real estate directly, obviously. We're not in cryptocurrency, and we're not in private placement things. But bonds, REITs, companies themselves, index funds. So we try to keep our portfolio very well diversified, which is what Sherry's point just was, is that, or I think Corey may have said it, that the best bet is diversification.
Yep.
And splitting your risk amongst a lot of asset classes. Amazon's $50 billion U.S. infrastructure pledge makes 2025's top AI deals. Amazon recently announced it would invest up to $50 billion to expand AI and supercomputing capabilities for the U.S. government, ranking as the fourth largest deal surrounding AI this year. Global annual AI spending is expected to swell to $375 billion by the end of the year, before topping $3 trillion annually by 2030. According to projections from UBS, which includes spending on AI infrastructure as well as power and resources for electricity demand. Here are the top 5 AI deals. $500 billion. President Donald Trump announced OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle would create a new company called Stargate in what Trump called the largest AI infrastructure project in history, with plans for the companies to invest up to $500 billion to develop AI infrastructure in the U.S. in the coming years and create 100,000 jobs. Number 2 is $300 billion deal, where OpenAI signed a contract with Oracle to purchase $300 billion in computing power over the next 5 years, as Oracle will provide roughly 4.5 gigawatts of power capacity. Third is a $100 billion deal between OpenAI and NVIDIA, where they announced a partnership that includes a $100 billion investment from NVIDIA into OpenAI, which said it would use at least 10 gigawatts of NVIDIA systems for infrastructure used to train AI models. Fourth is a $50 billion deal, where Amazon announced it would invest as much as $50 billion to expand AI infrastructure and supercomputing capabilities for its U.S. government customers, with plans to add nearly 1.3 gigawatts of capacity through new data centers designed for federal agencies.
And the fifth one is $50 billion. Anthropic announced plans to spend $50 billion on AI infrastructure, beginning with data centers in Texas and New York, in a project that Anthropic expects to create 800 permanent jobs and more than 2,000 construction roles. And the list goes on. And I'm not going to bore you with the remaining 11 of these projects. And I'll tell you that they are enormous in scope, and the dollar figure is a staggering $231 $31.7 billion, and it's being added to the AI project pot for everything from data centers to web services and supercomputers and everything in between. And if this is a bubble, it just got a lot bigger.
Yep. All right. Why governments should stop raising the minimum wage from Economist, which is from The Economist, which is a global publication. Excuse me. It's easy to see why politicians like raising the minimum wage. Short of cash, yet keen to fight inequality, they have seized on a tool of redistribution that costs governments little and wins votes. In its budget on November 26th, Britain is likely to raise the minimum wage, which sits at 61% of median income, up from 48% of median income a decade ago. Germany introduced a minimum wage only in 2015. By 2023, it had crossed 50%. And although America's federal rate is $7.25 an hour, that has not changed since 2009. Many states and cities have raised their pay floors far higher than that. The average effective minimum wage is around $12 an hour, and the highest is over $21 an hour. In one respect, the surging minimum wage is a triumph for economists. Having originally been skeptical, they embraced the policy around the turn of the millennium, arguing that wage floors did not eliminate jobs as they once feared, a finding that the experience of the past 2 decades seemed to confirm. Yet, as The Economist reports this week, just as governments are championing the consensus, scholars are getting cold feet. A growing body of research suggests that minimum wages distort economies in ways that do not immediately appear in the job numbers.
Yeah, and one worry is that it takes time for minimum wages to kill jobs. Evidence from a big hike to Seattle's pay floor in 2015 and 16 suggests hiring at the bottom end of the labor market slowed by 10%, even though existing workers were typically not laid off. Another is that higher minimums degrade jobs rather than destroy them. When employers must pay more but can still hire easily, they may cut corners elsewhere. New research finds that big increases in minimum wages are associated with shorter or less predictable working hours and more workplace accidents and fewer perks such as health insurance. A final risk is that early success breeds overconfidence. Moderate minimum wages can counterintuitively make jobs more abundant by offsetting the barraging power of big employers who would otherwise restrain hiring to suppress pay. But the more government embraces big hikes, the more likely they are to eliminate jobs, just as big enough tax increases will reduce revenue. One recent peer-reviewed estimate puts the average American minimum wage that correct for employer market power at under 8.
Wow. Beyond that, from the perspective of The Economist, the minimum wage is a crude and wasteful tool for redistribution. Many minimum wage workers are not poor but live with higher earners. And I see this all the time with my clients. And when firms raise prices to offset their steeper costs, it's the poor who suffer most from job elimination. Politicians should be concerned about these effects. Although raising minimum wages invariably polls well, electorates everywhere are also angry about soaring prices and the crisis of affordability. There's a danger of a doom loop in this. Employers' higher costs are passed on to consumers, making life still less affordable, including for the very workers governments are trying to help. Zohran Mamdani, the mayor-elect of New York, has promised to raise the minimum wage from $16.50 today to $30 by 2030. Prices would rise significantly as a result, making an already expensive place to live even more expensive. The law of unintended consequences.
There are better ways to help low earners. Tax credits are better targeted towards the poor and less harmful to the economy. They may lack the appeal of minimum wages, the costs of which are well hidden. But after a decade of aggressive increases, the responsible option is to not go higher still. You would think that they would have learned this by now.
You would think.
Right.
And that going from $16 to $30 in 5 years.
It sounds good in a press release.
Right. And it gets votes,
That's right.
to Sherry's point.
Exactly.
So you think you want a second home. Owning a second home feels instantly appealing. A personal retreat, a gathering spot for family, maybe even a way to build wealth. But while the dream is easy to picture, the reality can be more complicated and expensive than it looks. Before you start browsing listings, it's worth thinking carefully about what questions you need to answer first.
All right. Well, the first one is how often will you actually use it? Let's be realistic. Work schedules, kids' activities, and travel costs all compete for your time. List every season, school break, and holiday for the next year. How many times could you truly go there? The rule of thumb, if you won't use it at least 6 to 8 times per year, compare the cost to simply renting. We purchased a lake house years ago, and it's been fantastic as we go there every weekend. It's like a mini vacation where we work on fun projects, and rest and relax. The decision to go, the decision as to whether to do this weighs largely on how much you can enjoy the space, in my opinion.
I agree. Travel friction. The farther it is, the less you'll go. A 4-hour drive feels fine now, but quickly becomes a barrier. I have a lot of clients that bought vacation homes that are a long drive away, like a day, and more of them are thinking of selling. It's not just the drive. It's the mortgage, maintenance, insurance, taxes, utilities, pest control, and the worst thing, HOA dues. I recently talked with a client, and their dues went up 35% last year due to damage to the properties and increased overall insurance premiums for the association. We have been through this, and that is not fun. If you're going to do this, set up an emergency account that you can contribute to automatically every month so that you are prepared and don't have to eat into your normal budget. And verify insurance early. In some regions, insurers are limiting new policies or leaving entirely. If you can't get affordable coverage, the entire purchase may not make sense.
Are you ready to run a rental business? If you're counting on rent, treat it like a business because that is what it is. Plan for 40 to 50% actual use, not 100%. And if you plan to hire a full-service property manager, that can often take 20 or 30% right off the top of your rent. And even a low-maintenance property needs eyes on it. Identify local repair people and cleaners before you buy. Budget for someone to check after storms and in the off-season. This is a big deal, especially if the place is hours away. And consider this, the cabin that feels magical when your kids are 10 might feel empty when they're 16 and spending weekends with their friends or working. If you're thinking long-term, ask yourself how this home will fit your family 5, 10, or 20 years from now.
Final thoughts. A second home can bring joy, but only if it's a decision made with clear eyes, not wishful thinking. If your finances are in great shape and you'll genuinely use and love the place, it can be a rewarding choice. But if you're chasing a dream that mostly lives in your imagination, consider renting the experience instead.
So we love our lake house, and we've experienced some major expenses. A flood that wasn't covered by insurance, like we mentioned, regular maintenance that just adds up over time, and increased insurance premiums. We love it, and it's worth it. Just be careful. I'll never forget a man who came to see me years ago, and he got an invitation to a lake property pre-sale. He and his wife took the tour and got caught up in the how amazing this would be to own, and he signed a piece of paper committing them to the purchase. He came to see me the next week, as he should have never signed the paperwork, as they can't afford the place. Plus, they live so far away, they would never use it. It reminded me of a timeshare seminar. He was on the hook, so if you go to any of these types of presentations, please be very, very careful and decide ahead of time what you will and won't do.
Absolutely.
We saw one out in Lake Sinclair. We were driving out there to our lake house one weekend, and they had massive amounts of cars
I was just
in
gonna
this
talk
new
about that.
subdivision. And is that the thing you were going to
No,
talk about next?
I was going to talk about it. But
Oh.
yeah, but that's
But it was insane because there were hundreds of cars out there and all these golf carts, and they only had a few spec homes that you could look at. And they sold out the entire property in 2 days.
was-
People came
actually,
from
they
other
sold out the same
states.
day.
People came from other states and from all over the place to look at these places and look at this view. Well, only a handful of people had that view.
Yep.
Everybody else was going to look at trees.
There were only probably 40 houses on the lake. Everyone else was on a big hill or something.
Yes.
But it was. I wonder how many people actually are regretting their decision today.
And we
the
tried
worst
to
thing.
ask them questions. And we're like, can we get a tour? And they're like, are you going to buy? And I said, no, you can't get a tour. They wouldn't let us even see it.
Wow.
You
had to commit to
locked
buying
out
first.
because then they want to do the pressure sell in the golf cart. That's the whole thing. That was the whole deal.
Right.
It was crazy.
Yep.
Anyways.
All right.
All righty. So, sorry. We meet with our fee clients at least annually. And regularly review their beneficiaries, powers of attorney, etc., to make sure everything is in place. If they don't have a power of attorney, we encourage them to add a trusted contact person for their account so that in the event we cannot reach them, we can contact this person and find out what's going on. Most financial plans consider 2 key points in time. 1, when your client is fully able to manage their finances, and 2, when someone else legally takes over. However, there's often a vulnerable middle ground where the client's confidence and understanding can be diminished, can begin to diminish well before any formal diagnosis occurs. This gap may not be addressed in your client's financial plan, potentially putting their wealth at risk. Furthermore, this issue can be pronounced for clients who have no children or close family or friends to support them. It may feel like a difficult topic to bring up, but it's a simple fix that can have a great impact later. So let's discuss the importance of adding a trusted contact.
All right. So what exactly is a trusted contact? The concept grew out of a recent financial regulation designed to protect investors, particularly older adults, from fraud and financial exploitation. A trusted contact is someone your client authorizes their financial firm to contact if the firm suspects unusual account activity that can reach your client or has concerns about the client's well-being. This isn't power of attorney, which means it doesn't grant the individual the authority to move money, execute trades, or make decisions on your client's behalf. Instead, they serve merely as a point of contact for your client's advisor to verify that everything is fine. Most importantly, it acts as a small safeguard that protects the middle ground and can make a significant difference for the client. A trusted contact also provides support during incapacity or health challenges. Life events such as illness, cognitive decline, or an unexpected accident can hinder your client's ability to manage their finances. If your client doesn't have a trusted contact, their financial advisor may need to freeze their client's accounts until legal documentation is provided, which can delay access to funds needed for medical care or other essential expenses.
By designating a trusted contact, you can streamline communication. Additionally, having a trusted contact can be beneficial in everyday scenarios where regular communication may fail, such as during international travel, if your phone is lost, or if you are temporarily relocated. The trusted contact can help bridge those gaps, ensuring that the time-sensitive matters are addressed promptly. Having a trusted contact can serve as an essential safety net, particularly during volatile market conditions or major life changes. This simple yet powerful step can significantly help preserve the wealth you have worked a lifetime to build.
Adding a trusted contact person to your account is as easy as filling out a form. If you don't have a power of attorney, we highly recommend that you add this to your account as well. So please contact your financial advisor to do this.
Very good. I agree totally.
I do too. So here, and it can never hurt.
No,
Right.
It can never hurt.
They can't take over your accounts or
Right.
do anything that you wouldn't want them to do. It's just about having someone you can actually reach out to if something is not right.
Correct.
They never get to look at your account.
Yes.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
They have no control, but it is a good fallback.
And this next article is going to make you roll your eyes.
Yeah. I was going to say this is an interesting one for us to roll out on today, but
It is.
entertaining nonetheless. So they found relatives on 23andMe and asked for a cut of the inheritance. When Carmen Thomas was growing up in Boston, her mom told her that her absent dad's name was Joe Brown. So when she sent a saliva sample to 23andMe in her 20s and got a match with a Brown, she was excited. It turned out the man she believed to be her father had died 5 years earlier, but she connected with two likely half-sisters. They went out for tea, and at a sleepover over at their grandmother's house, she looked through family albums and held a pillow with her dad's photo printed on it. A year later, she was suing the Brown sisters and their mother. Wow, that went south pretty quick, didn't it?
It did.
From sleepovers to suing.
Cha-ching.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can smell the money.
That's right. Thomas wanted a share of a multi-million-dollar medical malpractice award they had won after Joe Brown died of an undiagnosed aortic aneurysm. After all, she was his daughter also. Thomas said in a court complaint earlier this year. Surprise heirs like Thomas are popping up because of DNA test kits, lawyers say, and wreaking havoc for families handling their loved ones' estates. States are grappling with how to rewrite laws to address the issue, and lawyers are encouraging people to rethink their estate plans.
Yep. The lawyers representing the Brown sisters and their mother said his clients were taken aback by Thomas's claims, you think? The lawyer said the death of their father was an extraordinarily traumatic, as you can imagine. That was compounded by this supposed heir all of a sudden showing up and demanding money. He added that the case is settled was resolved favorably for his clients because Thomas made the claim too long after Joe Brown's death. The Brown sisters, their mother, and the Thomases declined to comment. And I imagine that the new sister was not invited back to Thanksgiving that year.
Or any sleepovers.
Oh yeah, exactly. In many states, genetics determine who can make claims on inheritance in the absence of a will or a trust, and many people can inherit from the biological father even if they never knew them. Other states consider factors such as if there was a relationship with the deceased. It also matters how long after the death claim has been made. Even if there is a will or a trust, common phrases such as "to my descendants" or "to my children" can open the door for a surprise relative to make a claim.
So check your paperwork while you're at it.
Yep.
The affairs have always been going on, but now they're getting discovered, said Sarah Moore Johnson, an estate planning lawyer in Washington, D.C., with expertise on how DNA testing is affecting inheritance claims. Surprise heirs might have stronger cases if they can show their father supported or openly acknowledged them. A brother and sister in Utah were fighting over their late father's John John Heater's estate when the brother reached out to a man he thought might be their half-brother. Their DNA matched. The man's mother had apparently had an affair with Heater when she worked for him, according to court documents. Heater didn't have a will. The man argued his claim in part of noting that Heater had sent him birthday cards with $100 in them for years. The Utah Supreme Court ruled in 2021 that the man was entitled to a third of Heater's estate. For inheritance purposes, the court said he had had two fathers, the one who raised him and Heater, his biological dad.
To avoid any unexpected disputes, lawyers advise people to have a will or a will and a revocable trust that accounts for such scenarios. Estate planning documents can spell out whether biological children who aren't known to the family will inherit, overriding state definitions of descendants. When a surprise heir shows up, family members might unite. Frank McGuire, a Buffalo, New York businessman, died with a will in 2020, leaving behind a multi-million-dollar estate. His beneficiaries include his fourth wife, 7 children, grandchildren, and a Roman Catholic diocese of Buffalo, which was left $2 million. Then a woman turned up saying that she thought McGuire was her father.
Yep. Jordan Trippy, a mental health counselor in Palm Springs Garden, Florida, had taken a mail-order DNA test that connected her to the family. Soon after, she asserted a right to the share of the estate and demanded a formal DNA test to prove McGuire was her father. The 7 children eventually put up a united front opposing Trippy's request. A New York appellate judge court upheld the surrogate court's decision to compel the DNA test in July, so he will receive his share. The family warns others to make sure they are protected by correct language in the will.
What an interesting situation.
Twist.
Twist that modern technology has allowed.
But I would have never thought about this. But this is kind of a wake up call for a lot of people. We get people who come in here every week that need a will or
Yes.
and this is
They just
something
don't want to get around to doing it.
that I mean us as financial advisors, we need to make sure that
Understand how bad it could go.
but advise them to make sure that you got your I's dotted and your T's crossed.
Yeah.
Agree.
Actually, that wasn't our last one. This one actually is a positive one to go out on. So the surprising link between gratitude and your financial health. The holiday season always reminds me to slow down and practice gratitude more intentionally. Over the years, I've noticed something surprising. Gratitude doesn't just improve your mood, it can also strengthen your financial health. When you're grounded in what you value most and what you already have, you're far more likely to spend intentionally, saving consistently, and prioritize what truly matters. Here are 3 ways gratitude can directly strengthen your financial life. Number 1, gratitude strengthens delayed gratification. According to a study published in the journal Psychology Science, feelings of gratitude can combat the urge for instant gratification. Those who demonstrated gratitude were most likely to wait to receive $80 in 30 days rather than $54 today. The study also shows that cultivating gratitude can reduce impulse buying because you feel more fulfilled and less reliant on the quick hit of spending money impulsively. Why this matters for your finances. If you can delay gratification, you're more likely to save and avoid high-interest debt.
Buy now, pay later is a great example of the opposite, and I encourage everyone to not use this. Layaway is one thing, but being charged interest when you can't make payments on a buy now, pay later purchase is a waste of money. Do you really need that item right now?
Absolutely.
Agreed. Review your expenses by tracking your spending every month, maybe on a piece of paper even. What spending choices can you change? Can you start meal planning instead of eating out so much? Groceries in bulk, etc. Could you cut cable? That's a big one these days.
Yep. We're amazed at how much we're saving by shopping at BJ's and Warner Robins. And it just opened up this year. If you haven't gone there, you should. If you live close to the store, which is on Watson Boulevard near I-75, I highly recommend you check it out. You don't have to pay to visit. You can just walk right in the front door and look at the items that you would normally purchase and see how much you can save. We've been amazed. Anyhow, on with the topics.
How to achieve the gratitude mindset. Take time each day to write down the things you are grateful for. It might seem unnecessary to write them down, but the reality is that writing your list creates a connection to it. Try taking 3 to 5 minutes each day to list out things you're grateful for.
I encourage clients to do this when they are going through a stressful time in life. Taking time to focus on the positive can help you heal and relax a bit more. In the end, good financial health is built on a mindset, and gratitude can be one of the most powerful tools you can practice. This season, try adding just one small gratitude ritual to your day or week. You might be surprised at not only how much your finances improve, but how it can reshape your sense of overall well-being. Interesting side note, I met with a couple this week, and both of them were raised in very poor families. Because of this, they are savers, not spenders. They are so thankful for what they have been able to accomplish and don't waste a dime on anything they don't need, and have saved over $1 million in their retirement accounts. It's possible. You just have to make the right choices to get you there. And they were a great case study and nicest people ever. So,
Absolutely.
anyways, fantastic.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Your Money, produced by Lifespan Wealth Management. As financial advisors, the main thing we do is provide retirement planning and advice and manage our clients' investment accounts. If you're looking for a financial advisor, please contact our office at 478-922-8100 to set up a free consultation. You can learn more about us by visiting our website, retirerelax.com. If you have a question or topic you'd like for us to address in a future broadcast, email Randy at rfmoney.com. We look forward to connecting with you next week. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Osaic Wealth Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Osaic Wealth is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Osaic Wealth.